The Edify Show with special guest, filmmaker Nathaniel Dean. And now, the host of The Edify Show, Elliott.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the Edify Show. You know, one of the perks about this job is I get to see these movies in advance. And as you guys know, I love movies. I saw the best movie. It's called Brave the Dark. It's another Angel Studios release. It's coming out this Friday. Let's go ahead and we'll take a quick look at the trailer.
My father was an angry man. And I'm a bad person, just like him.
Nathan Williams, you're under arrest.
I'm here to see Nathan Williams.
Are you family?
No, I'm his teacher. You don't belong here, and we're gonna get you out. Do you have any family I can call? No one.
You gotta get back in school.
You have a convicted felon living with you.
A poor little homeless boy in a charity case would make you feel good? What?
You do realize that this is your only chance.
Screw you, dude.
Screw me, really?
You're not a social worker. There's a good kid there.
It's not a problem.
You have brought him back here. What exactly do you know about this kid?
Hey.
I know he was living out of his car for 2 years, going hungry.
You gotta be careful. This is not the same as being their teacher.
Stand on the chair, take a deep breath.
Stan, your first priority is to this school.
Isn't my first priority to my students?
What?
All of them?
Failure to graduate guarantees you serve the sentence in full.
You gonna try and fix me? You know how many people have tried?
Maybe we're getting somewhere. Come on, what else you got? Come on.
A liar, a loser. I've heard it all before.
You know, whether it's something your dad did to you or your mom didn't do, you have got to deal with it.
You weren't there.
Why do you care if I don't care?
I care that you don't go to prison. Some kids are born behind the 8 ball.
I can't do this, and I'm cursed.
We're lying to them when we say everything's gonna work out just fine. But don't those kids deserve the same chance as the others?
Again, it's a really good film. I'm excited to talk to Nate Dean, who wrote the script. He's one of the filmmakers behind it and the subject of the film. Nate, thanks so much for being on the program.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You know, I was just telling you a minute ago, I saw the movie. I loved it. I loved the movie. I'm so excited to talk to you just kind of as a fan and just to find out just how much of what I saw from that astounding film was it, you know, how accurate was that? It was incredible. I mean, wow. I mean, how accurate is that to your story?
Yeah, it's very accurate because I wrote it.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wrote the story about 11 years ago. I started it. I was working full time, so I would write on weekends and stuff with my friend. And so basically, it's very accurate. I would say 90% accurate. It's kind of unbelievable when you have a story that you don't have to Hollywood. You don't have to make stuff up.
Right.
Every time the director would say, well, how did this happen? Or what did this happen? I was like, just read it. Like, he's like, well, what part did you make this up? I was like, no. So he very quickly understood that this was an authentic, real film about a real person growing up through very hard childhood of trauma and neglect. And then thankfully meeting a teacher who basically saved his life. That's what this film is about, and it's my story, and I'm so happy to share it.
Yeah, well, I felt like, I feel like even in continuing your life, you've done such a credit to the teacher. The actor did such a phenomenal job, Jared Harris.
Yeah.
And I saw him in Chernobyl and some other things. Just absolutely was that pretty true to the guy's like personality? Just that friendly, that upbeat, and
Yeah. That's what I love about the story. I really wanted to show a man of integrity, a man who did the right things for the right reasons, who didn't want anything back. Stan was very optimistic. Jared said it was really hard to live up to that optimism because it's not something that's kind of done today. There's a lot of doom and gloom, but Stan was never that. Even when things were hard in his own life, losing his mother, he got through it in a positive way. And he poured out enthusiasm and joy and love on so many students in this community of Lancaster County, where the film was actually shot and made. And so to have Jared Harris portray him in such a real way was unbelievable. He was so good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him, and the thing I thought when I was watching it was how did you feel? And I don't want to give away too much of the film, but I know this is something we've just seen the trailer when he showed up at prison to visit you. You didn't see that coming at all.
No.
You just show up and there he is.
Yep.
Wow.
My only encounter with Stan was Mr. Dean at the time. He was my teacher. And it was early in the school year, so I might have had him 3 or 4 classes before I got in trouble. And, I'm sitting in jail thinking, man, I have nobody to help me. What am I going to do? There's no one to pay my bail. I'm going to have to serve my 2-year sentence and whatnot, and there's just no hope. I'm never going to graduate. I'm never going to run track again. And so I really felt like I was at the end and that I was done. And then, I get a security guard comes up to me and he's like, hey, there's someone here to see you. I was like, maybe it's a lawyer or something. And so walking in to that plexiglass room, where there's telephones to talk to, and I see this teacher, Mr. Dean, who I had only encountered a couple of times. I think the first thing out of my mouth was, are you here to yell at me, Mr. Dean? And he wasn't. He was there to help get me out. He knew that he knew that I would be in a lot of trouble if I just stayed in that environment. And he cared enough to say, I'm going to help you. I'm going to get you out of here, whatever it takes. We're going to find a way through this.
It was so good, man. Seriously, congratulations. I so enjoyed it. And the thing that it touched on too is he's the perfect one to do it only because the guy knew everybody.
Yes.
And I could that's fact. My father-in-law was a geography teacher, and I swear you'd go to the mall with the guy who was walking around with Elvis Aaron Presley.
Yes.
I mean, everybody knew him.
Yeah.
Everybody knew him. And as the movie turns out, that becomes pretty important, in terms of being able to have the influence to be able to kind of make people want to help you in addition to Mr. Dean.
Yeah, and what an honor. So thankful that he came into my life. Everyone in this town knew him. They still talk about him. So what a legend in this town. He just knew everyone, and he knew them by name. And he cared about so many people. He cared about his students. He cared about everybody. And that's a rare trait these days.
Oh, it is. It's the thing I really, there's so many movies out there about, alien clowns or something coming to kill everybody, something to really celebrate, celebrate somebody and to put them on the big screen and truly immortalize. This kind of person. I have this saying, I love it, that we create called copycat kindness. They have copycat killers. We want copycat kindness. Some teacher out there that's watching this and going, golly, because they have so much more than just the influence even that they can have, like you say, in their community and people, because one of the things that showed, and I'm assuming this is sort of backstory you got from him, was some of the teachers were resistant to what he was trying to do for you.
Yeah, what was really amazing was that when, 11 years ago when I started to write it, Stan was still with us, and he was able to share those stories. And I had heard them for the first time. I didn't realize how much trouble he was kind of getting himself into and how many people opposed him. because he didn't talk about those things because those weren't important to him. What was important is getting me through what I needed to get through. He was willing to take that risk. And that's why Brave the Dark isn't just about a teen braving the darkness of his past, but it's also about a teacher who braves the dark of everyone saying, no, let the system take care of this kid. Don't worry about him. He's a troublemaker. He's going to steal from you. He said, no, this kid he's good at heart. There's a good kid in there. And he found that good kid and he brought him out. And that's what's amazing.
Man, right on, man. What a cool thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm telling the audience, this is a really good movie. This is a really, really good movie. It was well acted. There's a scene there that I actually started to get pretty emotional in, I always tease that it started to melt my cold, dark, black heart. Like it was, I'm kidding. But yeah, it was a really, really good film. So I'm just thinking from your perspective, being on the set, that had to be pretty emotional for you, just seeing certain things kind of be recreated in that. Was there anything that really jumps out?
Yeah. Thankfully, because I'm helping to produce this thing, I also was able to be on set every day. And Jared actually requested that I was with him because he wanted to make sure that he was portraying Stan the right way. I mean, he knew what he was doing, and I didn't have to say very much. But he always liked to go, hey, would Stan use that gesture or not? Or would he, how would he talk back to this, the students? Or how would he just even walk down the hallway, And so it was great to be on set every day. But there were some very hard days. Some of the childhood trauma that I experienced that I'm not going to give away. You got to go watch the film. Things that no child should ever have to see or be a part of. I experienced at a very young age. But I remembered it all. Adults tried to make me lie about it. Tried to, say, well, it just was an accident or this or that. So those days were very hard on set. I actually had to leave set a couple of times. I always made sure I sat through at least 1 or 2 takes of each scene. But there were times I'm like, hey guys, can you get me back to headquarters? Because I just can't keep reliving it over and over. I am healed from the pain of all that happened to me, which is awesome. But it's also like a reminder of all of those hard things that I dealt with.
Yeah, and then like you say, to have Stan just come and sort of swoop in and take an interest where so few people would have even. It wasn't even like he even recognized anything more. It seems like than just that here was a young guy that needed help. And I also have to applaud the actor that played you. I thought he did a great job of balancing kind of the cool without being cold, about it. And I thought he just did a phenomenal job. And as I watch this, I love movies like this where I'm like, this can't be totally, like they must have taken some license here. And to hear that this has been an 11-year journey of yours to do honor to this phenomenal teacher. One of the things I loved is how you kept weaving in of like, I'm not leaving till they name a building after me.
Yeah.
I thought, and then they did. Yeah. I thought that was cool. That's not a giveaway exactly. I mean, but I just, I really, really enjoyed it a lot. Now the one thing, it sounds like there was more of an influence even where you kind of, like, I know you took his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Stan and I became a family. I always say that I was the son that he never had, and that he was the father that I so desperately needed. And so we became family, and I decided in 2018 to change my name to Deen. And what an incredible story there, because I got to go to court, because you have to go to court, especially as men, to change your name. So I was in like a family court or whatever, and there was a lot of people in the room. And when my case came up, I went up in front of the judge, and he asked why I wanted to change my name. And he said, I'll give you 10 minutes to share your story. And so I shared my story in front of that whole courtroom, in front of the judge and the bailiffs and all of the people. And they were crying, they were moved. And when I was done, the judge said, I'm honored that I can allow this for you because you are a Dean in my book. And it
Oh
was
my
just
gosh, I'm getting
such a proud
emotional.
moment. I was so happy. And I know that Stan would be so happy and so proud.
So how long ago did he pass?
He passed in 2016.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
eight
it's
eight
it's
years
been
ago.
some time. Yeah, it's been 8 years.
And then was he around when you changed your last name?
No, he had passed.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
We had talked about it when I was younger, but I literally just turned 18 and he really couldn't adopt me officially. You know, I was basically in his care. But then it just kind of continued on as just, Stan, Dean, and Nate. And then just after he passed, I felt really strongly that I wanted to carry on his name.
I wish they had like, I swear that, because a lot of times they have those courtroom cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to have that as like an outtake or it's like
I
bonus
know.
content.
I
or
don't know if
something.
they did. I could always ask. I'd never even thought about that, but it
I
was such
just
an
think it would've
amazing
been-
moment for me.
Yeah, would be. I'll bet you it is. I would love to see it personally. I think that would be so powerful because I'll bet they got emotional.
Yeah.
To have that kind of tribute and everything. What do you think Stan would have thought of the film?
I think he would have loved it. I think he would have also been like, man, you spent way too much time making me look good. And because again, he was not a prideful person. He never did
Right.
it for that. But he was very proud of the first script that we finished, and that we were getting so close to getting it, getting it made when he passed. I kind of look at it as he had done everything in this lifetime that he needed to do, that the Lord had asked him to do, and now
Yeah.
it's my time, it's our time to step up. My hope and goal for Brave the Dark is that people want to be a Stan Dean in their community, or like
on.
the teacher that helped them through whatever they were going through. Because if just one person in every town would be more like him, then I think the world would be a much better place.
Yeah, like I say, and now with the movie too, I think of it like kindling. You don't know what set you aflame, and then how many other
Yeah.
people are you going to impact? And through this film, the tough part for me as the interviewer is like I say, there's so many parts of this film that were like I loved so much, and I don't want to give the film away, but I have to talk about. I loved the Christmas part, the one where you're sitting under the tree. That actor, the way he delivered the thing where he's like, I didn't get you anything, and he's like, yes, you did.
Yeah.
And then gave it. He's shaking it. He's shaking it. It's clearly a record, and he's shaking
Right.
it. It's like like he wants to figure out what it is. It's like, is it a bowling ball?
Yeah, that's
And-
funny.
Yeah, and I'm so curious. Is that out of your humor, or is that like from actual events? Was this like kind of as you remembered it?
It was very much like that. The Christmas scene is probably one of the closest scenes to actual word for word because it's such an important moment. It was really my first Christmas that I celebrated with a family. Like I felt like none of the other families or orphanage really celebrated Christmas with me, like made it feel like Christmas. You get some clothing and maybe a toy, but it never felt like Christmas until I met Stan in that moment. And actually, it was very, very hard for me. I could handle trauma and hard in my life at that point, but I didn't know how to handle love. I didn't know how to handle kindness that well. When you find out in
Right.
the movie, I'm like out the door, like, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't understand why this guy's giving me all this stuff. And then that conversation on the bridge with him, him running out after me, trying to figure out what's going on,
In his
and
pajamas.
right in his pajamas. And we're having real conversations in the cold of winter on a bridge that's freezing. Those are the moments that I cherish the most because those were the hard conversations. Those were the moments where I really began to trust him as a human, as that human connection that I believed in him because he believed in me and really started to trust him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like the thing I loved is he was just armed by his heart and just this loving guy. And
Yep.
it wasn't like he was some trained social worker or anything like that.
Right,
Just
no.
because of he cared. And then I definitely won't give away the Christmas presents, but so he's certainly a very, very generous guy. And I I could just marvel at so much of the scene where you're in the hospital and all of that. Is that accurate? Is that
Yep.
what happened?
Yep.
With him standing there, like he's there, and oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, I love the moment
See
when
this movie. I am
I
not
know.
kidding. I am
I
not
know,
kidding.
when-
It is so good. Gosh, dude, I love this film. So tell me, was this a torch? Did you go through that process?
Yeah, we had to go through the guild and everything, and they give it very, very high marks, and
I'll bet.
honored to work with Angel Studios and getting this out to the world. They've done an incredible job getting it into like 2,000 theaters across the country.
It's not enough.
I know, and you know, if everyone goes out this first weekend, even though it's cold, that'll continue on, and this story will continue on, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that after they see this film, they'll go, you know what, my uncle needs to see this, or my dad needs to see this, or my mom, or my brother, or you know, some friend, that's struggling. You know, it's a movie that will stay with you, that you'll want to share. Because I believe it's more than a movie, because I think that it'll create great conversations about mental health in children, and drug addiction, and suicide, all the tough subjects, and it is tough, but man, there's so much light at the end. I really felt strongly as a filmmaker that in order to show how bright the light is at the end, I had to show the darkness. And I think sometimes we sugarcoat some of that darkness. And good people don't understand that there's kids out there who don't have a meal every day. And if they don't see it somewhere, then how do they know where to help, right? And that's
Right.
what I strongly believe, that by showing some of that hardships very well and very creatively, without making you go, oh, I'm so depressed because that movie made me depressed. It's not going to make you depressed.
No.
Again, I just feel like you need to see it, because then when you see the end and you see the change in this young man's life, my life, it just brings so much hope and joy, and you just feel good. I feel like there's movies out there that you kind of go and you're entertained and it's wonderful. And then there's films where you go and you're like, that didn't do anything for me. But I think this film's going to make you feel joy. I think it's going to make you want to be a better person, right?
Totally.
And you want to help somebody else, and that's the goal.
Yeah, and you nailed it too. It was truly inspiring. It fits completely, and Edify means to spiritually build up. I would be so proud of making a movie like this if I was you. It's not like, to show, and truthfully, I mean, just even to get to know even a tiny bit and to talk to you and to know the chasm that this guy helped you cross in a lot of ways, kind of like you, the darkness, you are the light. I mean, of what you become, that he set that and put that in motion and to inspire other people. Never underestimate the power of a single man.
Right.
What you can accomplish against his tide, the stuff that he had to do. In some ways, fighting you for you, which I thought was cool. I mean, even as I'm watching it, I have the image of where he's in the theater, putting up the posters of and the photography, and this is you. But I just realized I am so rooting for him so hard, like almost like I'm a foster audience or something. Like I'm like watching it going, you just want to see him make the right decisions and everything else. Do you have a particular part of the film that was like a real highlight that you remember just enjoying that moment filming, or just some powerful moment? I know there was some powerful on just some of the things that you didn't want to relive, but any of the stuff that was like your favorite part of the movie? Maybe it's the Christmas one. I don't know.
I mean, the Christmas is my favorite scene, but I love the idea that change doesn't happen overnight, that it does take times, and you're going to have setbacks. And I love that Nick got to dance that dance on that stage, as I did, 30 years ago. And it just shows you that, hey, this he's going to make it probably, right? And it shows that, you could start seeing that there's a change, that he's doing something, he's finding a purpose in life. Sadly, made a few more mistakes that took me down a very, very deep path. But again, just showing that there are moments that you can get through things. And for him to dance on that stage and just be free, because I really don't call it dancing. Nick just kind of moved freely the way I kind of moved back in the day. And it's just so beautifully lit. And it's just a reminder that, you're going to make it. It's not going to be easy, but there's moments of joy in the pain sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's how we rolled in the 80s, man. It wasn't always the electric slide, so
Right.
yeah. So you guys created the torch first. Which scene was the torch?
I think it was the Christmas scene to the bridge scene kind of thing. I think that was part of it.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I could see that. So then, and then how long ago has it been since the movie was completed?
We finished the film. We finished shooting in the end of 2021, and then we edited in 2022. I think it finished the end of 2022, and then the last two and a half years, just finding distribution has been really hard with COVID and the writer's strike and all of the things. Making independent films is really, 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 really hard. But I call it the film that could,
I'm going to call it the film that should.
Yeah, I mean, it was so hard, but it just kept going and it kept moving forward in positivity and, getting in front of Angel and hearing that they loved it. Let's see how the Guild loves it. And then they loved it. And now here we are getting ready to open in just a few days on Friday, the 24th. Just so honored that I can tell this story. It's not an easy story for me to tell, but it's an important story that I want to tell. And I'm so thankful that I'm healed from a lot of it so that I can tell it. And I hope it encourages others to tell their story.
Yeah, and even the parts of the darker parts that you're talking about, it really just motivates the 90% of the movie, just even to kind of understand the backstory that predominantly the film is about this great teacher that comes in, and you don't really even find out a lot of the backstory until later on, and the film was a triumph, and the film was about triumph, and I'm like I said, I liked it way more than I expected to.
Good.
When I went in to see it. I mean, and I think people when they see it, if anybody reviews this bad, they need to come talk to me. But I really did enjoy it. So you guys had made the movie and then you put out the torch through the Guild, and we did another interview for another movie called Bonhoeffer, and it was a similar story, just COVID coming in and just wow, God bless Angel Studios, because it's like they've helped kind of give a lifeline to some of these movies that may have struggled otherwise, just trying to find distribution through that. Now, when you did the torch, I always love to ask this because I love the personal touch of this whole thing. When you watched the torch and you saw it being accepted, like, how were you excited? Like, how were you feeling when that went down?
Yeah, you just never know. Thankfully, I had, I was on the film festival tour all across the country. We were even in Ireland with it. People loved it. People responded very highly of the whole film because they got to watch the whole film. And so when you're doing the torch thing, they only get to see a little bit. But when you hear, man, I want to see more, I wish they could share more, I want to see more, then that's a good sign. And that was just so much joy and happiness knowing that people were getting it. People were getting that this is a film of light, not dark. That there is hope and love in this world, and a lot of good people, men and women, who want to help, and that's who we want to encourage. So yeah, it was really cool to watch the numbers, and then to get the call, hey, you guys have passed, and passed well.
What a country this would be if we could somehow clone a bunch of Mr. Deans out there to make a difference with so many kids. So yeah, like I said, I'm so excited for this. I'm going to do everything I can to get the word out. It's unlike any movie I've seen in a while in terms of the way that it really inspired me. It made me feel hopeful. It made me feel good. It drew out emotion. I forgot I was watching a movie. To me, sometimes that's the best compliment to a film.
Yes.
You know, like I was some kind of phantom just rooting for this kid to just to make it.
It's really important to watch this in the theater. I know we have some bad weather across the country, but if you can get out to the theater this weekend and watch it, it's the kind of movie you want to pay attention to. You don't want to be distracted by the cat or the dog or a kid crying or the phone. You know, there's so many distractions in this very loud world. And if you can get into a movie theater where it's dark and it looks amazing on the screen and it sounds even better than on your phone or on your even TV, I don't care how good your system is, it's just a different experience. And you feel like you're in it, like you said, you feel like you're on this journey. And at the end, there's so much hope and so much light. And I can't wait for people to feel that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the thing, and I was going to say that it was beautifully shot, just beautifully shot. And it was really creative in a lot of the storytelling approach, which is a credit to your script, but just even certain things without giving it away, but like the photograph of the window and just some of these things, just so well done. So I would definitely encourage people, because look, there's a lot of ways to experience a movie. But if you want to have an experience, like if you want to guarantee you're going to go to the theater, go to dinner, go to the theater, and actually after the theater, like really have a lot to talk about, why you feel really good about learning about good people and what they did, and just seeing it, and like I say, triumph. It's a triumph in the film, and you're going to see a movie about triumph. I just highly 5 stars. Edify show fully endorses Brave the Dark. Again, thank you. Seriously, Nate, thank you so much for coming on the program and just sharing your story.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Just an honor to be on your show, and honored to get this story out to the world.
You bet. Okay, you guys, again, this movie is going to be out this Friday. I highly endorse it. I really like this movie. It's beautiful. It's well made, but it's inspiring. We need a lot more movies like this, and thank goodness for the Angel Guild. This is another one of these movies that comes from this invention that they created to give you a voice, and your voice is like the best voice. This movie, Brave the Dark, I loved it, and it may not have been possible if it wasn't for the Angel Guild trying to fight through COVID and the strike and everything else. And here now you can see it in theaters Friday. And if we can emulate what we like to call here copycat kindness, what this guy did that you're going to see in the movie is just magnificent. And you've already gotten a taste for what transpired because of it, because of this great guy, Nate Dean. You get to see his heart. You get to see it as you're talking to him. But anyway, I highly encourage you to see the movie this Friday, and I highly encourage you to join the Guild. If you use the coupon code Edify, EDIFY, you'll even get a discount. But it's a great invention. I applaud it so much that they made to help give you a voice to make these kinds of movies made. But until then, a lot more, and we'll keep trying to bring interviews to you for them. We'll see you again on The Edify Show.
Tune in next week for Hardy TV Tuesday. Elliott will be interviewing Viv Leacock on the set of Wind Calls the Heart. You don't want to miss it. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube page. And never miss a thing when you register at hardys.com, where people around the world are coming together to support inspiring entertainment. And we'll see you next week on The Edify Show.